welcome to today's review for Inmate to Roommate, Season 1, Episode 5, Breaking the Ice. We'll get into it, so there we go. So we start off the episode with Tiffany and Quinn arriving at the train station to pick up Ariel. So when Tiffany gets out the car, she and Ariel have a big hug and embrace, and they're very excited to see each other. And Quinn was in the background, like, okay, she's still wary of the whole situation. And so Quinn, gave Ariel a hug as well. And we see Ariel telling the camera crew how she's happy to be out. And she was wondering why Quinn was there, but she'll try to keep it cool. So they hop in a car and they're on their way home. So they're just having a conversation, and Ariel mentions that she didn't tell her mother that she'll be moving in with Tiffany. So Tiffany and Quinn were like, "You didn't tell your mother, like, what's going on with that? Like, why didn't you tell her?" Um, and she basically didn't want her mother to worry, and she just wanted to make sure that she had everything like all set on her end. So it wasn't too pressing in her mind to reveal that as yet. So she calls her mother in the car. Ariel calls her mother in the car, and her mother was basically thinking that she was going to hop on the bus to Savannah, Georgia, I believe, to go and stay by the mother. But she's like, "No, I'm in the car with Tiffany, and I'll be staying with her." So the mother just also expresses her concern, and she said, "Okay, well, pretty much you got this, so good luck with that." you know. So she did express, her mother expressed that she's upset, but she understands. Like, I guess it wasn't worth like getting too worked up over at that point because what's done is done. So we have them continuing with the car ride, and Tiffany tells, she's saying how she's pretty much like wary now, knowing that Ariel didn't bother telling her mother, so that kind of was a red flag for her. And Quinn was, just expressing her feelings as well. And then Quinn and Ariel got into this like little argument. Well, yeah, it was little, but they were threatening to put hands on each other and stuff like that. So that was pretty much their segment. So next we have Dr. Henry and DQ. So we see DQ and Dr. Henry in the kitchen, and DQ is preparing like a fruit plate or crudité or something to that effect. Um, and they were excited to have a visitor over by the name of Lawanda. So Lawanda has a son, Jamal, who is DQ's like homie, and he's also on parole. So basically, they're outside in the backyard, DQ and Dr. Henry, and then here comes Lawanda, and Lawanda's happy to see um, DQ, so she embraces him, and they're just discussing things like what's going on with DQ, and he tells her how things has been since he's been out. I believe it's been like 7 days he's been out or something to that effect. I believe that's the amount of days, or maybe I'm mixing his days up with someone else. But anyway, he's been out for a couple of weeks. I mean, Lord of Mercy, a couple of days. And, she asked him about jobs, and he mentioned to her that he had a job interview, but he didn't get the job because he showed up an hour late. And she was just like, okay. So she was expressing her concern to him about DQ and her son Jamal hanging out together, being that they're technically not supposed to be around each other because they're both on parole. So Dr. Henry was agreeing and saying, yeah, that is the case. So they had that conversation, and then she left. So DQ wanted to continue the conversation with Dr. Henry regarding Jamal. So he was just like, okay, what if I were to invite him over so we could chill? And he was just like, what would you do? And Dr. Henry was like, I might have to call the police. And he was just like, oh, word, you gonna call the police on me? Like, I thought we was like pops and son. And he said, "Yeah, but being that y'all are both on parole, you're not supposed to be around each other. It puts me in a predicament where I might have to say something." And he said, "I might." He didn't say that he will, but he said that's a possibility, something that I might have to do. So DQ gets pissed off and he stands up. He knocks a vase over with flowers, and he walks down the block and he's saying that he's pissed off at Dr. Henry, that Dr. Henry called the popo on him and stuff like that. And he's going to hang around Jamal regardless of what anyone says. And he's saying that he's going to call up his Uncle Joe and stay by him because he thinks that will be the better option at this point for him to stay by his uncle. So that was pretty much all that was that. Looking at my notes, because I was like half half asleep watching the show, so I just wanted to make sure that I hit on some key points that I won't, forget for y'all. So next we have Sharna, Mark, and Bill, and we see Bill in the kitchen, and he's like, "Ooh, nice ice machine, nice new ice machine." And he's there and he's helping himself. So he goes outside and he has a snack tray, and he has a nice glass of something with a whole bunch of ice. So he's there lounging in the yard, and we see Sharna in the kitchen, and she's like calling her husband. She was like, "Mark, did you make ice?" And he's like, "No, I didn't make any ice." She was just like, "Well, the ice machine is up here. Why is it up here?" So she was like, "Oh, it's Bill." So Bill is forbidden from using the ice machine. So they keep the ice machine in the basement, and they pretty much they make the ice for, I guess, the day or whenever. Yeah, I guess for the day or something to that effect. And they put the ice that's made in the freezer, so you could just go in the freezer and get the ice rather than dipping in the ice maker. So, they start fussing about how, well, Sean is fussing about how Bill took it upon himself to go into the basement and get the ice maker and make ice, even though they told him not to. And he's been pretty much breaking the rules since he's got there. Um, so Mark is in there also, and they're fussing about their frustrations regarding or with Bill. Um, so they pretty much wrote down a list of like an itemized list of what they've purchased for Bill, like clothes, um, food, shoes, things of that nature. And he runs through a whole lot of toilet paper, more than the average person. So they were saying like they might go through two a day or something like that. And he goes through a whole bunch. He goes through 24 double rolls a month. And they calculated that they spend over $2,000 for Bill for him to pretty much get on his feet and everything, but he hasn't paid them back any of this money as yet. Um, so they're extremely frustrated at this whole thing. So then we see Bill, and he's chilling in the backyard, and we see um, their neighbor by the name of Sharon, and she's over the hedge and over the hedges, and she's chit chatting with Bill, and he pretty much explained that Sharon is their neighbor, and she's mad cool, and he told her about the whole meat situation, how meat is not allowed in the house. So she one day brought him a plate of fried chicken, and he was very excited about that. So now she actually stores the meat in her house for him. So whenever he needs to eat meat, he tells her, so she brings the meat over to him. He figured out a way. So then we see Bill, and he called over the camera crew because he's frustrated because they presented that list to him to show how much they spent on him, and he's pissed off at the whole thing. Um, and he's tripping about the toilet paper, and you see him in the video, and you see the stacks of the toilet paper, and he's fussing. And I was just like, Lord of His mercy, what is this? This is just like, they're just a mess. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So then we have Sandra and Nick, and they're coming out of the supermarket, and they've been pretty much having time to bond because Kyle works a lot. So we see them in the car, and Nick asked Sandra if she could stop off at a car dealership because he wants to look into some vehicles. But she was just like, well, no, I'm not trying to do that right now. Your priorities need to be on other things rather than looking for a car right now. So, he was just like, okay. Um, so she was saying that she's starting to get hungry, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm hungry too." So she was just like, "Oh, how about some Chick-fil-A?" And he's just like, "Oh, the Chick-fil-A over by this street and that street." She said, "Yeah." He was just like, "Oh, that's the Chick-fil-A that I got arrested at, like his last arrest." So they showed the video again. They showed this video a couple of times since the show started. Um, so he was just explaining the issues he's had with different types of drugs and things like that. And he seems to be in a better place right now as far as like, you know, he had too many close calls. He had 12 overdoses. And he said a couple of times out of those 12, they said he was practically dead. So he's extremely lucky. So it's like now he's realizing how precious life is. So he's just like trying to stay on the right path. So he said, "Yeah, I remember what I ordered. I ordered like a 30-piece nugget. I think it was a spicy nugget and a Sprite. And I think he ordered the fries. But the issue that got him arrested is they messed up his drink order. So he circled back and he ended up falling asleep, and that's how they arrested him. So they make their order, and he's like super excited that he'll actually get to enjoy his order. And Sandra's like, "Oh, did they mess up your order?" He's like, "No, everything is straight. They gave me everything. I have my Sprite. Everything is cool." So that was their um, segment of the show. So last we have Artie and Javon. So we see Javon getting he's at Artie's house, and we see him getting ready, and basically he's saying that he's getting ready to meet up with his daughter. And so Artie asks him, "Are you excited?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't seen her in 3 years, like pretty much the time that he's been incarcerated. So I haven't seen her in a couple of years, and I'm very excited." And Artie asked him if he's still married, and he said, "Yeah, we're still married, but at this point, there's not." They're not going to get back together because too much has transpired since him being locked up and stuff. So basically, long story short, he cheated on her. She wasn't having it. The end. So hey, so it looks like his cousin, because it was the same truck, I believe. Looks like his cousin dropped him at the park, and we see Kelly, his wife, telling the cameras that yeah, she dropped their daughter off with her sister-in-law because she tries to avoid seeing him because it's still too much tension and hurt going on there. So she rather not see him if she has to. So their daughter was with her sister-in-law at the park, and then Javon sees her and runs up and gives her a hug. But poor, poor little girl, she was not having it at all. She was not. She was like, nope. Who are you? I'm not. Nope. Where's mom? She straight up asked her auntie. She was like, "Where is mom? Can you locate her and bring me to her?" She straight up said that. I'm like, "Ooh, this is a smart little girl." She said that with her little chest. She was like, I am not having this right now." So of course Javon is feeling hurt, but he explained that when he missed her birth. Then he met her when she was 6 months old, and I think 6 months after that, he was back in jail. So he was in jail when she was born, came out, spent time with her for 6 months, went back in. So unfortunately, she doesn't know him, though she's seen him, like I guess with the video calls and everything. It's still different seeing him in person. And, you know, yeah, so it was hard. The poor little girl, she was not having it. Um, and so his wife had to, well, his Kelly's sister-in-law called her like, okay, she's crying, she wants to see you. She wants you to come and get her. So Kelly circles back around and pulls up, and she had no choice but to see Javon. And they were both holding their daughter's hand and walking back to the park. And she was still a bit shy, well, extremely shy around him. And he was there trying to break the ice, and Kelly was trying to nudge her to talk to him back, and she was trying. So there was a scene where when he first got to the park, he was feeding her some waffle fries. So she was eating the waffle fries, but after a few fries, that's when she asked for her mother. So and he was just like, I thought you were hungry, And she said she was still hungry. So he was like, well, what do you want? And she said, I want a banana milkshake and donuts. I'm like, oh, she has great taste. So um, they, he, Kelly told her to give Javon a hug. And he said, okay, well, I'll see you soon again. And that was it with the show. So it was pretty much, that. So thank you for watching this review for Inmate to Roommate, and hit the like button if you'd like to see more videos, and subscribe, I mean. So thank you for checking this video out. Have a great day. Peace.